right, we are back and we have a special episode today. And it truly is stronger together when we have to make these shifts because we have an amazing guest today who is from across the globe, from where I am near Boston. And we talk about stronger together and we talk about bringing people together at FETC. And we want to make sure to accommodate all of our educators if they're here in the Eastern time zone, if they're in Central time zone, or if they're all the way in Sweden. And that is what we are doing today. We were originally scheduled for this evening, but listen, when you can get an amazing guest from all the way across the country, you make exceptions, you switch it to 12 hours earlier, and you welcome Dory in all the way from Sweden. So thanks for stopping in.
Thank you so much for accommodating the time difference.
Of course, of course. So for those individuals who have not yet met you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Dora, and I'm one of the founders of Imagi. And we're building the most creative and lovable way of learning and teaching Python programming. And we are doing it in a way that is making it easy and fun for teachers to teach and learners to learn, and also make sure that it's inclusive of and really relevant for all children, regardless of their gender or interests.
So how did you get started in that?
Yeah, so I have a background in like STEM myself. So I studied my bachelor's degree at NYU, and I studied computer science and neuroscience, and I ventured into technology and had this experience in my first job where I was actually referred to as the girl on the 7th floor. I was the only female developer in that area. And so I firsthand experienced the lack of diversity in tech, and I was really, really passionate about education my whole life. Like, kind of tutoring was the only job I ever had, before entering college. And so during my master's degree, I had a research project working together with kids and literally co-creating. This is a very Scandinavian thing to do: bring in your end users and prototype with them, and co-creating an idea for a product that would make it fun and inclusive to learn programming with. So that's where Imagi started.
Awesome. And so that's where it started. And what is, the goal, and what's the work you do and share? You go on to, your website and you see these great images and all the things that you do and talk about creative, and you talk about building confidence and community. Tell us what you do.
Yeah. So we launched Imagi in 2020 first as a D2C kind of a product. So we have our Imagi charm, which is this little gadget we have here, and some call it like a Tamagotchi that you can code. So the idea is that you can literally design any like coding project or creative art onto it. So now you see this like heart that's blinking, and this was coded, and this is a Pac-Man, and all of this was coded in Python in our app. And so we started out with our consumer app that's available on your phone, and on our iPhone app we have 88,000 users from 99 countries. So it's been used widely to kind of like get started with the first steps in learning to code in Python. But then earlier in 2022, so just about 6 months ago, we decided to focus more on educators because we had so much interest in actually using our tools in the classroom. And we also saw this as an opportunity to solve this problem in a more scalable way. So now we also offer a platform for educators where they are provided with like full lesson plans and resources to teach Python, and they are able to have their own classrooms and see what projects their students are creating and sharing with each other. And so this is quite new. We have about 400 educators currently using the tool. And so I'm really excited. I'm really, really happy about the educators who are using it right now, and all the feedback coming in. And I'm hoping at FETC I can connect with more educators who would benefit from our tool.
Awesome. Well, you shared about FETC, and you're coming all the way over from Sweden to New Orleans. Is this your first time in New Orleans?
It is my first time in New Orleans. Like, I've spent time in the US, mostly in New York, but also really across the country, but I haven't been to New Orleans.
Awesome. And what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so So I started working on Imagi like during COVID. So I haven't really had the chance to do a lot of in-person events, to be honest, ever since launching. So I'm really excited to be able to meet people who have a relevant interest and kind of focus and similar to us and learn about all the other available tools out there. I'm really excited about some of the keynotes. So, for example, the founder of STEMETS, I believe she's coming over all the way from the UK. So, STEMETS is an organization that teaches girls coding, and we worked with them. They've used our tools before. I haven't seen, I have never met them in person either. So, I think it's just such an exciting opportunity to connect face to face and learn from each
Awesome.
other, really.
Awesome. And so you're doing some work around, coding and girls in STEM. And what have you seen as the need to increase the girls in STEM or computer science?
Yes. So I think something that's important is also to, well, we focus a lot on making our tools sort of gender inclusive, but not excluding of anyone. And the reason for that is, well, very simply, we have a pipeline issue for tech today. So
Hmm.
computer science is the only STEM subject where there is more open jobs than actual students studying the subject. So that's like one part of the issue, right? Like we have a pipeline problem. And then we have sort of the gender component of it, which is becoming really prevalent around the ages of 13, 14. So until around the age of 12, girls and boys have a similar interest in coding, but by age 14, while half of boys are interested, only 12% of girls. And this is a research done by Google and Gallup. And so it also shows that this really is contributing to the lack of, talent going into tech. And then finally, I think something I realized while working with educators and talking to a lot of teachers, actually across the globe, was that because of this recognition that tech is our future and it provides great job opportunities, a lot of schools and a lot of governments really are introducing mandatory coding education. But about 2/3 of the teachers who are asked to teach coding often are not, educated in this, or they don't necessarily feel confident themselves in how to teach programming. And I really enjoy working with educators. I have a family of all educators, and so I understand his need, and it's been really exciting to work with educators to understand how we could provide a tool that would make it really easy for them to learn along with their students. And I think those are some of the most amazing feedback pieces that we've received from teachers, that really they feel empowered thanks to the curriculum that we created.
Awesome. So one of the things I had a question about, and maybe those who are checking out your website for the first time or coming to see your session, what is pixel art? Tell us a little more about Learn to Code with Pixel Art. That's the first image you see when you go to your website. It obviously is in the device that you showed us. What does that mean
Yeah.
for those of us who aren't in that space?
I think, well, the word art is very important here, right? And how like STEM actually has become STEAM recently,
Hmm.
and realizing that combining art with the other parts of STEM can be extremely powerful. So I would emphasize first the art component. So actually, the way how we introduce coding is making it creative and allowing for self-expression. And so that also opens up learning to code to a group of children that would other, like kids who would otherwise might not be interested in it. And then this whole pixel art aspect is that it's a bit like a blank canvas, so
Okay.
that you can create what's relevant for you. So one teacher we just recently spoke with told us that there was a student who really disliked math and computer science, but then he realized he could program a pixel art basketball that was bouncing, and then suddenly it became exciting to learn to code, right? Like not because of learning to code, but because of creating this pixel art that was related to his interest. So the way how we look at it is sort of like creating art with code opens up the opportunity for learning for personal interest. And then the pixel art component of it, and maybe I can just also quickly show, this is our app you can see. So it's
Oh
very
yeah.
like pixel art themed. And these are like tutorials where you actually are introduced to coding concepts. So for example, on this level, you are learning about variables for the first time, and you're creating this pixel art bunny. And so the interesting thing about this pixel art is that It opens up a lot of opportunities. So if I pull up our community feed, so these are all projects created by our users. You see there's like Pokemon related projects,
Oh yeah.
there's Minecraft, there's Roblox, there's everything you can imagine. And so I think this canvas that we have, it provides a lot of opportunity for creativity, but it's also not intimidating. It's a bit like constrained, which really sparks creativity and makes it easy for beginners to get started because they don't feel overwhelmed by the possibilities. So we see that kind of this framework that we created is a really good place to get started and get to like a certain level of confidence in coding.
And where do you get your learning? Like where do you go to keep up with the field and to embrace this new level of learning?
That's an excellent question. I think, yeah, my philosophy is definitely, being a lifelong learner. And we at Imagi take this quite seriously. We have some personal learning goals. So I personally love to read. I share on my own social, like at the end of every year, kind of my synthesis of my favorite reads. Be that an audiobook or a physical book. Love listening to podcasts. I run a lot, I bike a lot. So when I'm, on the go, I always try to make sure to listen to and learn. But I think one of my most recent learnings has been that, yeah, it's not enough to just listen and read, but you also have to take time to reflect. And that's something I'm trying to be better at. And I think my kind of like takeaway there, I noticed that I learn the best when I also teach. So something
Yes.
that I try to do is, for example, like that's why I try to, for example, share a synthesis of my favorite books, right? Because when I have to like summarize takeaways and try to explain it to others, that's a bit like teaching. So yeah, I would say teaching is one of the best ways of learning.
Wonderful. So you can see all Dora's Twitter handle right there. You can see Magi's Twitter handle. The website's down below. Make sure to check that out. And for all of you heading down to New Orleans, here is the information about her session, Engaging Girls in Coding and STEM Education. It is Monday at 2:30. Make sure to check that out. Stop in. And for those who are going to come to your session, they look through all the great things that are happening. And they're like, that's the one that I want to go to. What are some of the takeaways they can expect from your session?
I think it will be a bit of like expanding on what we talked about today, but
Hmm.
something I love to like sort of establish more is also like why we need this sort of like diversity in tech. So I will teach a bit or or show a few examples of what's happening in tech when there is no diversity. And what are the current problems there? So I think those will be like interesting and thought provoking. And then a bit more around sort of like the design process and this very popular technique that I mentioned we have in Scandinavia around user-centered design and sort of co-creation and how we constantly work together with our end users to make sure that they are included and also are given an end product that is truly beneficial for them.
Wonderful. So, last question for you. One of the questions I ask all of our guests that come on, because it does interest me because I want to learn, I want to grow, and I want to be better. Is what does stronger together mean to you?
So I think, oh, maybe I will get this quote wrong now, right? But about or this phrase about going fast if you want to go alone, but if you want to, get far, you have to go together.
Hmm.
So I think essentially, I think about this a lot with, for example, my co-founder, and how like having an actually, kind of a partnership with my co-founder and with our team, where sometimes it's harder to get to decisions because you have to consider multiple views, but you actually get to better results and better decisions because you get multiple views. So I think essentially like seeing each other's blind spots and supporting each other in our decision making is one part of stronger together, and the other is just simply no one has sort of like perfect every day, so it's kind of uplifting each other when we're having a tougher period and sort of making sure that we carry through that. So I guess like the non-scientific explanation is that 1 + 1 is more than 2. So
Oh, I like
I
that.
really believe that if there's a good like collaboration, then you can get a lot more done than just like individually.
Wonderful. Well, that sounds great. I'm so glad we're able to make this work, to learn about your work both individually and both with Imagi. As I said, make sure if you are in New Orleans on Monday to check out um, Dora's session at 2:30 in room 206. I'll definitely swing in because I will be there Monday doing some podcasting in the morning and then doing Digital Citizenship Academy in the afternoon. But I'll make sure to stop in so that we get a chance to meet in person as well. So
Awesome.
thank
Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'm glad we were able to make the time work and adjust to hear about your story and get everybody excited for your session on Monday, January 23rd. So I hope you have well, it's night for you now, right? Isn't it like
Soon enough.
what time is it?
It's actually 2:36 right now, but it's Sweden, so it's gonna get dark in like 20 minutes.
All right. Well, we will let you go, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. And I look forward to seeing you in New Orleans. And for all those watching and listening, we are stronger together when we put we over me and keep building those collaborative communities. Dora, thanks for stopping on.
Thank you. Thanks.